And welcome everybody to this early edition of the EGlaze Chronicles. It's your boy EGlaze, and welcome to another edition, the 67th edition of the EGlaze Chronicles, right here on OTV Media LLC Network. And I am happy to be joined this early. I would only do this for a few people, because usually this is a 7 p.m. show. But today I had to get, in order to get the morning rush, I had to go early to be able to get it. And I thank her for joining me. Everybody, please welcome Shiba Russell. How you doing today, Shiba?
Hi, EGlaze. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Let me start with this. Did I read that correct? 10-time Emmy winner? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. I've been in this business for a while, and it's funny because I took it off my social media for a short period of time, and I had to ask my agent, who's been really good at keeping track of it, to send me my current resume so that I could re-add it on there on my social media. But yes, it's been 10. Yeah, and the last one, our Morning Rush team just recently won for a show we did last year for actually one of the debates when we had all of those candidates. That was the show that we had put on that morning, a fantastic show, and that's what won us another Emmy for Morning Rush on 11 Alive here in Atlanta. So really proud of our team. And that's a team award, but it counts for everybody.
It counts for everybody. I mean, you're the anchor of the team, as they say, but does it humble you? What does it do for you to do that? Because a lot of people, I interviewed Brenda Wood early this week, and in her background, she let me know her Emmys back there. But just to win an Emmy, to be nominated is one thing, but to win and to do it as many times as you've done, what does that say about what does that make you feel? What does it say about your career? Does it humble you? Does it make you hungrier? What is it about it that for you? What does it do for you?
Really, for the team awards for Morning Rush ATL, which we just started, it's a new show in my mind. It's still our baby, my baby. We started it in the summer of 2017. And within these last few years, this is our second Emmy. And so for me, and really for the team, it's all of that hard work that we do, all of those sleepless nights, working in a shift where we don't see a lot of our coworkers. It's one of those things where hard work pays off. And, you can't, I'm sure everybody would want to be paid $1 million, right? But everybody can't be paid $1 million. I can't be paid $1 million for Morning Rush ATL. And so it's just one of those things where our colleagues in the business recognize all the hard work everybody is putting into this new show, this baby of a show that we have.
And I want to start with that because I remember when we first met, you were doing the evenings, the 6 and the 5, 6, 11s and all of that. And when we talked, I think it was 2 years ago that rolling out, you said, I'm going to mornings. And I was like, I've never heard of that move, but you did it and you've been successful at it. Wow. What was the biggest thing you had to change? I mean, did you do mornings before? And going from evenings and nights to morning, what was the mindset change for you? What was the thing that you had to change about the way? Was there anything you changed about the way you present, the way you did things? Because I know now you go to bed at 6 p.m.?
No, I don't. I wish I did. But listen, I mean, when you talk about 10 Emmys, Emmanuel, you have to remember, I mean, I didn't get 10 Emmys in 5 years. So 10 Emmys over, I've been in this business for more than 20 years on screen. I'm not even giving you the time that I spent in college and in graduate school. So my first on-air job I got in 1998. And so I have done every shift in this business. There's not one shift that I have not done. And I've pretty much done every job as well. So when I first moved here to Atlanta, I was on mornings, actually. I was hired to do mornings. And I was there for 6 months. And then Brenda left and they asked me to do evenings once she left. And so I did 6 months on mornings and I did 6 months on evenings. And they said, listen, we miss you on mornings. We want you to come back, but we want to launch a whole new show. And so that's one thing I've learned over the course of my career is that I actually love to launch new shows. It's a new challenge. I was able to do that in New York when I got to NBC4 New York. There was no noon and there was no 5 p.m. So I helped launch those shows as well, because there's a little bit of a managerial part of me that loves to do that, but also to create new content and, you know, bring a whole team together under one umbrella to get excited over a new project. So we all, you know, worked our butts off to launch Morning Rush, and we went through different versions of it and finally landed on a sweet spot. And I'm just really, really proud. But as far as getting used to morning hours, I'm a night owl. I've been doing mostly nights and afternoons throughout my career. I worked mornings in Boston for about 5 years. I did that shift. But yeah, I mean, I'm a night owl on a morning shift. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and I see you be posting sometime, and I'd be like, shouldn't she be asleep? But that's neither here nor there. I want to talk about something that I saw you just recently post when September 11 just came, and you were down at Ground Zero, and you know you were seeing on that. It's just going back to that time. You was a young reporter back then. You was young in the game and things of that nature. What was that experience like for you, just to remember and to be around everything that happened and being asked to go down there and report on it? What was it like for you as a reporter, as just a person, just a citizen, to be around something like that and during that time?
9/11, I was working for News 12 The Bronx, and it was election day that day, and I had my whole outfit set out for election day. It was a red, like, satin suit. And when we all heard the news, I first got a phone call about the towers on fire. I initially thought it was these towers in the Bronx called Tracy Towers, not the World Trade Center. But as a young journalist, and I think for a lot of us too that day, for those of us who were allowed into Ground Zero, because at some point they cut off vehicles going into that area, I don't think we realized the enormity, the gravity of it until much later. And I'm not saying like days later, like later in the day, because I vividly recall driving home and crying the entire way home. It's really emotional for me to talk about it even to this day, because there were a lot of funerals that followed as well that we all had to cover. And you sort of feel guilty that you survived it, that you were not in those towers, that you had not suffered any health issues in the years after Ground Zero. It was a really, really sad time for our country. You know, I can't say I was blessed to cover it. It definitely opened my eyes to just such a tragic event for our country. So I was about 3 years into my career at the time, and just talking to everybody as they were walking by who were able to escape. And, you know, as I talked to those people as they were leaving that area, and you could barely see, you could barely breathe out there, I had to have sunglasses on because I wear contacts, and I could barely see out there with all the dust and debris. And later you find out some of that dust and debris mixed in are the remains of people who did not survive. But, you know, as I was talking to those people as they were walking by, they told me how they were seeing people dropping out of the buildings. It was just a very, very, very sad story. I can't say there's been any story, and I've covered a lot of stories over the years. There's no story that is as sad as 9/11 in my career.
As a journalist and as a person in this business, what did it do for you going forward for your career? What did it do to you? What did it do? Did it make you, what did it do for you? I mean, I know it's tough to say that because of the tragedy, but a lot of us, you know, I know where I was at the time. I was down here in Atlanta. I was unemployed, trying to find a job when that happened. And I was thinking, I just always remember the next day I got hired. So I always remember that moment and what it did for me. What did it do for you as far as your career? And it does, you know, I'm not trying to say that's, you know, it's positive, but we all have that point. We all remember that day and where we were at. What did it do for you?
I don't know if it did anything for my career. 9/11, I would say, really help shape the cities that I moved to, I think, in terms of where God wanted to place me.
Right.
I think things happen for a reason. And I'm talking about the track of my career. So when I look at New York, the next city I was moved to was Pittsburgh. And that's where United Flight 93, that area, the Pittsburgh area, not in Pittsburgh, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where United Flight 93 crashed. And then after I worked in Pittsburgh, I went to Boston, and that's where those flights came out of, Boston Logan International Airport. And then when I moved back to New York, because I'm a Jersey girl and I spent most of my adult life living in New York off and on, I went back to New York, and months into starting that new job, they killed Osama bin Laden. And I was on the anchor desk by myself for hours having to cover that story. And so most of my career has been shaped by 9/11. It's like eerie to this day. All the cities I've moved to over the years have been shaped by 9/11. And Atlanta is the first city that really, as far as I know, has no connection to 9/11. So I now feel like that chapter is closed. It definitely made me a more sensitive journalist, a more educated journalist, worldly, yeah, all of the above.
Interesting. So I'm gonna change it to a little something. The first question I was asked to ask you. We are in this COVID-19 era.
Yeah.
Doing something, and I had to ask you about the time you took a COVID-19 test, and if I'm not mistaken, you sneezed on one of the test takers. Is that correct?
No, I did not sneeze.
Okay.
Okay. I was caught. Have you ever gotten a COVID-19 test?
Yes. Yeah. So I know what you're talking about when you went up in there.
So I was like coughing. It was like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to do that. You know, actually that happened yesterday. I felt awful. I'm like, listen, I feel well. The only reason why I took it is because our company has a policy anytime you're on a plane, and I just went to go see my family in Florida. Anytime you're on a plane, and I totally get this, you know, anytime you're on a plane, you need to either stay home for 14 days or get a COVID test to be able to come back into the building. So yes, I did that. If anyone else has any tips on how to get through the swab going to your brain without strangling the test taker, let me know. I'm open to some advice.
Yeah. Okay.
Now that you asked me that, EGlaze, I can feel the swab in my nose. Like I have PTSD from that whole experience.
So I mean, it just coming to this whole COVID-19 2020 era that we are in. I mean, how would you describe it? You've covered everything from this to what 2020 has given us, from this COVID-19 to we're going into this hot election that's on top of. I mean, 2020 through with us to the passing of the great Kobe Bryant, John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, Reverend Joseph Lowry, to all this that's going on. What has it been for you covering this every morning? Because you're the first person that a lot of us wake up to see with all this going on. So we wake up and it's like, what you got to tell us today, Shiba? What's going on today, Shiba?
Yeah.
And you have to deliver this. How has it been for you being able to deliver that? Because you are a lot of people, especially down in Atlanta, the first person we see delivering this news every day that we wake up to.
I want people to know that what we are going through as journalists is what you all are going through at home as well. And it's probably a little more heightened because for me, I feel like I have to be a voice of calm and reason. And there have been many moments through this pandemic, through the unrest, through issues at the polls, I'm sure I've left something off because I feel like every day it's something. It has been emotionally draining for me as well, and for us as journalists. It really has. I have never, 9/11 is the biggest story of my career. Can't say I've covered a pandemic. And so we're all going through these uncertain times, trying to figure out when it's all going to come to an end. You know, I go through bursts where everything is great and I'm feeling great, emotionally, mentally, all that stuff. But then there are moments where I'm not. And I think that helps me relate to our viewers because I talk to many of them every day via social media, and everybody is feeling the same way. And in fact, let me just get to this. So this weekend, actually on Saturday, the mayor's office, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, their office asked me to moderate a panel discussion on emotional wellness for women. It's called the Emotional Wellness Summit for Women. And that's on Saturday at 10 a.m. It's atlstrong.org/wellness summit. And it's on World Mental Health Day. That's on Saturday. And I had a fantastic discussion with Black women regarding how to cope during this pandemic, and with some really great tools on what we could all use to manage, because I mean, this is a marathon here, right? And we're all trying to make our way through it, whether it's doing our virtual calls on Zoom, or trying to meet with friends one-on-one, or getting exercise equipment for the home, or getting COVID tests as often as we can so we can see our family members. I haven't seen my dad since January. He lives in New Jersey, and that area requires you to quarantine for 14 days before you can, just to come in. I can't do that with my job. And my dad's 71, 72. He has diabetes. So it's just a really difficult time for everyone. But I am going through the same thing that all of y'all are going through as well.
I think that's important. I don't think, because you said two things that I think people don't realize, is that no matter how emotional things are for you, you still have to feel like you have to be that calm when they say, you're on the air. And that has to be tough because, you put on your, Instagram, I follow you on everything, but you'll leave the studio, or you'll leave, and now you're supporting your daughter as she's homeschooling during this time and things of that nature. So you still have to deal with that. You're dealing with your father who's in New Jersey that you haven't seen, but you still have to give, and that, okay, Atlanta, America, here I am, here's the story. And you and to me, it seems tough on you, but that's the professional in you, and we appreciate that, but that has to be hard sometimes. I know it has to be.
I think it's hard on me, but it really does aid in helping me bring the best product to our viewers every day. You want someone who relates to you at home, right? Not someone who considers themselves elitist and can't relate at all. Like I am in the thick of it with everybody else. My daughter, she's home. She's a teenager. Teenagers, every hour they have another mood. So I'm dealing with that. I love my daughter to death. She is my best friend. During this time too, I've had to let go some of my old school ways and not communicating, because when I came up in this business, it wasn't okay to tell your bosses, I need to go home and take care of my daughter, or I need to, when I first came in this business, you couldn't really even mention that you had issues at home. You had to come in, do your job, and like both of them were separate. But we're now in a time where it's okay, especially during this pandemic, right? I mean, I think when we first got into it, we thought it was going to be a few months, but this could go on until next summer as far as everyone getting a vaccine. So at some point I had to say, you know what, if you look at my social media, I have mom first, and that's for a very, very good reason, because my number one job is mom. And can I have my daughter home doing virtual learning, feeling like she's not supported for the next year and a half? Absolutely not. I can't do that. There are many parents now who are having to quit their jobs because they can't do both. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can do both. So I said to my bosses, listen, because during COVID as well, the bosses started a new show, which I anchor. I was anchoring 5 days a week. It's a new noon show. Before there was no noon show. I would do the morning news and do some work at my desk, work on upcoming stories kind of thing, but there was no noon show. So my work hours increased during COVID. It doesn't mean more money. Everybody's like, oh, more. No, work hours increased because there's a need for more news, right? But I can't, I don't believe in the word can't, but my daughter was feeling like she wasn't being supported. And so it was okay for a couple months. And then after a while, she's seen her friends have their parents home, you know, giving them breakfast, lunch, dinner, being supportive to them, that kind of thing. And I wasn't, I was away from the home more than what I was before COVID. And I don't think she really even noticed in the beginning because most of those hours she was at school. And that's the benefit of doing a morning shift. But at some point I had to say to my boss, and she's a female boss and she understands it and she's a mom, that listen, I either need to come off the noon a couple days a week, or I bring Minnie to the studio so she can hang out with me and she can do her virtual learning, or I forget the other third, or I can do the noon from home. And they opted because, I gave them options. So that I gave them options, right? And so 2 days a week, I'm allowed to come home and right after the show, the morning show, and support her as a mom. So I'll come home, make her breakfast, do some grocery shopping, just be here for her. And I think that has really helped. I think it's really gone a long way, and it has lessened the mommy stress on me, I have to say.
I mean, that's we all, like you said, I've been blessed to be able to work from home, and my daughter's in there now. I'm trying to make sure I'm not bothering her. It's her time, but it's like, I'm doing an interview. You okay with that? Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you one thing about this though. I'm news-wise, and I'm interested in your career. Have you ever seen debates where the top stories have been interruptions? What was the other one? Fly. Now we're talking Flygate. And just this what's going on. It seems like it's more in the moderators. Those have been the top 3 stories during
the debates
than it was about the actual topics that about it. I mean, have we ever seen, or have you ever, what's some of the feedback you're getting about these? And now you're talking about, now they want, one of the funny things is they want Samuel Jackson to do the moderations. But we're hearing everything except for the topics. And what are your thoughts about that and seeing these things?
I think it's just the times we live in, Emmanuel. Think about it. Social media is such a prominent part of our day-to-day lives right now than if you compare it to the debates when we were growing up, right? Everybody's looking for a meme, a GIF, a talkable moment kind of thing. I don't recall a fly ever dropping on a vice presidential candidate's head before. I don't recall a debate where there were so many interruptions and so much heat between the candidates. My memory's not so good though, I have to say, but I think it's just a sign of the times in which we live in, where everybody's trying to put out quick things on social media. I think if social media were as popular or even around back in the day, it would probably, I think it would be the same. But we're in like this reality TV era right now, right?
And that's a good point. I mean, which brings me to what I want to ask, because you are you have accepted the social media world. I think you do a good job between, the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram. Is it because you enjoy it, or because you feel like to keep up with the times you have to be as prominent on social media as you are? You might not think you are, but I think you do it very well. I can see you bouncing and you flipping and you posting and, and things of that nature. But have you accepted the social media world? I was told by Dr. Gunter, who's a psychologist, who told me that we are digital immigrants. Our children are part of the digital age. They grew in the digital age. We are digital immigrants, so we have to learn to be a part of it. Have you accepted it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's required for my job. It's required. The only thing that's not required are my Instagram stories, and I really enjoy my Instagram stories. Even when I'm on vacation, I post there. I don't post. I'll give Twitter a break. I'll give Facebook a break, and I'll give my main page for Instagram a break. But I do enjoy social media. I enjoy Instagram more than all of them, I have to say. And Instagram, I communicate with my teenage daughter a lot on there. I think other parents are kind of missing out on that. Like, we send each other GIFs and memes and stuff all day long. We'll text on there. We text more. If I look at, we DM more than we text, my daughter and I. So I do enjoy Instagram a lot. Facebook, I think sometimes people can get too opinionated sometimes, right? When you're trying to cut out the toxicity, sometimes it just gets to be a lot. But I do post on there. I try to post at least 3 times a day, Monday through Friday. And then Twitter, I feel like now Twitter is becoming just a community of journalists and like-minded folks. So, but Instagram is my jam. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. I have enjoyed the crossover, which has been happening for many, many years now.
And I have to do the fun. I guess it's finger licking good, right?
Yeah, we have to tell the people what that's in reference to.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I mean, just to see Crash and just to see their facial expressions. But when you said that, and for those who didn't get a chance to see the clip, Shiba said on the show, the one thing that she's missing is being able to lick her fingers. And the reaction of the males on the show was priceless, and mine was priceless. But when you said that, did you realize what you said? And did you realize that it would be on shows and things of that nature? And just explain a little bit more about what that meant.
So I said I miss the segment that we did before my on-camera commentary was the things that we missed during COVID. And that's not the first time we were talking about it. So of course we miss our family, right? And we miss face-to-face interaction and parties and all that stuff, right? But this is like one of many times we were talking about it. And, I think that moment where I said, I miss licking my fingers, and it probably should have been followed up with after eating something delicious. But I think that moment really is a little sampling of what real Shiba is all about. Because and that's the beauty of our morning show. Sometimes I can show my personality. Other times it's very straight-laced. But if you were hanging out with me, that's something that I normally would say. Like that's just, I think that was like quintessential Shiba to even say that. And the one thing one of the many things I love about my team is when I say stuff like that, they recognize it, because sometimes you'll work with someone who pretends like you didn't say that, but they'll recognize it, respond to it. That it's not like we rehearsed it at all, but they're going with the flow with it. And it made a really, really funny moment having my male co-host Crash and Chesley react like a what?
It was awesome. It was really awesome.
But it resonated with people. People are like, you know what? I miss licking my fingers too.
Now that you say that, I do miss that. You have to be careful. Can't just do it now. I have to think about those things.
Yeah. And in fact, since I've been home, I haven't had to worry about COVID at all this week. And so I'm just, licking my fingers left and right after I eat something yummy now. Like that, not a full-on finger lick, but
Oh man, we'll wrap it up with this. We got 2 more. Then, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate this. To use when people get in their coffee in the morning, and to use a biggie line to wipe the coal out their eyes. What do you want them to see when they see the morning rush? What do you want them to get when they're tuned in and they're looking at the morning rush? What do you want people to be able to wake up to when they see you guys, see you and your team?
I want people to know that it's not all grim news when you come to our show. I hear that a lot during the pandemic, that people don't want to watch the news because they don't want to be weighed down. But we really do have a mix of everything in our show. Francesca Amaker, who's one of our co-hosts, she does the entertainment segments, said something about when she explains to people what our show is about, it's like an appetizer tray, and we have everything on there. So don't think just coming to our show, it's all doom and gloom, because we have many opportunities where we can show our personalities and make you laugh, but also keep you informed. And the goal is that when you come to our show, you get everything you need. So you don't have to go elsewhere looking for this and that. Everything is there for you. And
there it is. One more time, can you give people the information about what you're moderating this weekend? I think it's very important.
This is the Atlanta Mayor's Emotional Wellness Summit for Women, and the registration is now open. It is Saturday, 10 a.m. You can go to atlstrong.org/wellness summit. Saturday is World Mental Health Day. It's a I did a two-parter on this. This is the first part. This was such a helpful, meaty conversation. You'll definitely have some takeaways, some tools to use in your journey through this pandemic. I can promise you that. The conversation was mind-blowing. I'm really proud of the panelists that were part of this discussion. I'm going to post something on my social media a little later today, but I moderated this discussion. And, you know, if you're not doing anything on Saturday at 10 a.m., please join the discussion. And again, it's atlstrong.org/wellness summit, and that's where you can register.
And where can they follow your great social media? I think you have one of the easy ones, Shiba Russell. I mean, you can, it's a
Yeah. Shiba Russell, Shiba with an I, Shiba, Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's on all social media platforms. You can find it there.
Real simple, guys. Thank you so much, Shiba, for doing this. Like I said, I don't do morning shows myself for many people, but I had to talk to you for a while. So I said, just to let everybody know, Shiba has been, ever since she's been in multiple studios with us, doing things from Rolling Out to our old studio to where we are.
I forgot about Rolling Out.
Yeah, remember that? Almost at a noon time. Yeah. So thank you so much. I appreciate your candor, and as always, appreciate you doing this for me and doing this with me. So
thank you, EGlaze. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a great one.